Hey guys, it's Jackie M from Masters of Malaysian Cuisine, back again with another live broadcast session. This time I have Paul Gray with me, who is the co-founder of MOMC. And guys, don't forget to say hello, let me know where you're watching from, and also hit me up with any questions during this session, okay? I'll bring Paul back on screen a little bit later. What we're going to do, Paul, today is that we are going to I'm going to cook the Kapitan chicken curry, and then I'm going to make the vegan avocado smoothie. And while the Kapitan chicken curry is still simmering, I'm going to bring Paul back on screen, and we will go through a list of all you guys' suggestions of different ways to use Malaysian coconut milk, and also answer some of your questions that you brought up from the other day's session, and also via email. Okay, so make sure you stay tuned. And if you're one of those people who submitted your suggestions, keep your ears open for your name being called out. Okay, I hope I don't miss anyone. I actually meant to do some the other day, but kind of like ran out of time. But let me just get rid of Paul.
Bye.
Okay. Oh, oops. Okay, guys, thanks again for joining me. Again, like I said, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from, and do me a favor. If you can just share this out, comment, and also give me a like and subscribe. That will actually help me to be able to reach more people with our content. So what this is, for those of you who are just joining me for the first time, this is part of my series called Malaysian Ingredients Made Easy. And each week I feature a different Malaysian ingredient and basically demonstrate recipes using these ingredients. And this week we are featuring Malaysian coconut milk, of which, sorry about my
Sorry, that's me.
Cool. Right here. Okay, let me just hop on. Outlook team, hello. How are you? Also, by the way, especially if you're based in Australia and New Zealand, stick around. We're going to flash up some basically banners later on during the session to show you where you can buy these Malaysian ingredients. Okay, a little bit trickier if you're in places that are a little bit farther away from Australia and New Zealand, but nevertheless, make sure you keep an eye out for Malaysian coconut milk. Okay, this is ayam coconut milk from made in Malaysia, and this is their light coconut milk. They also have coconut cream as well, which I use in my previous session. Hello, PS from Malaysia. Good, thanks for tuning in. We're going to answer your question in a little bit. Okay, so these are the products I'm using in this session today. And like I said, I'm doing two recipes. The first one is Kapitan chicken. This is not just any Kapitan chicken. I used to actually sell Kapitan chicken in as part of my ready-to-eat range, right? But today's recipe, I'm actually going to follow more closely a recipe that I was taught when I was being hosted in Penang. So Penang is basically the home of Kapitan chicken. This was taught to me by a chef in Penang based at the Shangri-La Rasa Sayang Resort a few years ago when they hosted me there. So make sure you stick around to find out how it's made. Now, also, we're going to make a vegan avocado smoothie. And also, we're going to answer your questions that you have posted earlier and highlight some of the stuff that you guys have shared with us during, like when I asked you guys, like what interesting ways can you think of to use coconut milk, okay? So, and also, by the way, if you want the recipes for all the sessions from this series, make sure, if you haven't already, make sure you sign up at malaysianchefs.com/recipes, and I'll be sure to share them with you. Okay, now before I go on any further, let me just change my layout so you can see what we're using. Okay, another thing is just a quick shout out. This is the laptop I'm doing my broadcast from. It is a Lenovo Legion laptop. It's every time you see me go live, that's what I use to do my broadcast. Okay, so Kapitan chicken. Now, the reason I specify this is a little bit different to the recipe that I used to use for my restaurant is because in my ready-to-eat frozen meal range, which was very popular, I actually use a lot of shortcuts. In this particular recipe, I'm still using some shortcuts, but not quite so much, okay? This is a true Penang recipe. So the ingredients we want, I've got some chicken leg fillets, okay? These are like chicken drumsticks that I basically filleted, okay? The reason I took off the bone is because it'll just help with how long it takes to cook, okay? I've got some garlic mince here. So there's fresh garlic that's minced. This is fresh onion that's minced. In Malaysia, they might use shallots more commonly. This is fresh chili that I've basically blended, okay, with a bit of salt, but usually you would use fresh chilies. I just, sometimes if you live in my part of Sydney, it's not necessarily that easy to find chilies, okay? Otherwise, you can use, this is actually frozen bird's eye chilies. I might use a couple of these here. But the other ingredients you want are, this is turmeric. This is turmeric root. And again, if I were using my restaurant recipe, I'll be using turmeric powder. Okay, but we're using turmeric root. This is bought fresh but frozen, so it's a little bit soft. It's been defrosted, it's a little bit soft. And this is likewise galangal that's been frozen and defrosted. You see it's a little bit soft now, okay? But typically for my restaurant's recipe, I would actually be using galangal powder. So you can do that as well. Now, this is my shortcut. This is belacan, another Malaysian product, okay? But this is in powder form. For those of you who don't know what belacan is, it's shrimp paste. If you don't have it, can't get it, you can leave it out. But this will really give you that extra oomph. Okay, now typically in Malaysia, if you're using belacan, Malaysians with more, I think, especially the more traditional cooks, they might be more familiar with buying belacan in a block form, right? Then you will cut it into like little pieces, and then you might wrap it in foil and grill it till it crumbles. Okay, when it crumbles, it brings out all the flavor and it turns into this form. Okay, this belacan powder basically saves you having to do all that. Okay, so you can pretty much sprinkle it in and mix it in with all your spices to use it. Now, what we want to do, first of all, we want to basically blend these. Okay, so back in Malaysia, you might actually be pounding it with a mortar and pestle, right? Here we're going to use the good old food processor. And look, I don't actually need this much galangal, right? But if I use too small a portion, I might have trouble blending it in the blender. Okay, so we're just going to chuck it both in together. Okay, here you go. So we're just going to blend this. It's going to be a little bit loud because, this is a very high-powered blender. So let's have a look. Whoops. Okay, so it's what it looks like now. Still a little bit crumbly. We're going to do it a little bit more. Okay, so it's not too bad, right? Okay, so it's a little bit finer now. What we're going to do, this is the easy part. A lot of Malaysian dishes, as long as you've got the ingredients right, the technique is actually pretty easy, okay? So let's just put this together. I'm going to explain a little bit about the origin of Kapitan chicken, okay, while we're cooking. But I just want to get this out of the way because this is the part that will take a little bit of time. So what we want to do, now usually Malaysian recipes, they'll tell you heat up the oil and then add the shallot / onion / garlic stuff and chili stuff, right? And then you saute it till the oil separates. But you know what? Mashed onion or mashed shallots are called wet spices, okay? And like mashed chilies and all that. And the reason they're called wet spices is because they're wet. And if you know anything about like science at all, oil and water that mix because they'll splatter everywhere, okay? So what I do generally, this is my hack, right? What I do generally is actually fry them up in a non-stick pan. That is the trick, okay? If you're using a pan that does stick, then this won't work, okay? You use a non-stick pan, you fry them dry, okay, without the oil. And here the water evaporating. Okay, I'm going to add a bit of the galangal / turmeric mixture here. And I've added the garlic, the onion, and the chili here. Okay. And you know what? I forgot the other thing that you want as a defining feature of this dish is kaffir lime leaves. Okay, these look a little bit miserable. They were bought fresh and then they were frozen. But Ideally, if you've got fresh kaffir lime leaves, that'll be perfect. But it is what it is. We're gonna try and chop these up, slice these up if possible. And I see some of you guys are commenting, and I'll once I get this under control, I don't want to burn my food. I'll say hello to everyone and answer any questions you have. But for those of you who haven't actually commented, just make sure you say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. Okay. Okay. So kaffir lime leaves. Let me just move this a little bit closer and just try and slice this up. Now, because this is actually being frozen, it's going to be a little bit brittle, okay? But typically, if you're using fresh kaffir lime leaves, you want to actually just slice it thinly and just add it in here, okay? Can you just hear the sizzling a little bit? You know that there's still a fair bit of moisture in there, okay? So let's add that in some more. The rest we're going to add at the end, okay? So now I'm going to add the belacan powder, okay? So very easy. Everything is just like throw it in, belacan powder. If you don't have belacan, like I said, you can leave it out, okay? Don't stress too much about it. I might just add a little bit more cheese. It's very aromatic now. As soon as you throw in the belacan, it just completely changes the vibe of this thing, okay? So let's just cover this. And if you're vegan and you want to use a vegan substitute, go for it. And in that case, you would replace the belacan with, in Malaysia, you can get vegan belacan. In Australia, you may be able to find vegan belacan. Otherwise, what I suggest is adding a little bit of miso paste to it, okay? Because miso paste is fermented as well. And also, it provides that strong vibe that you want, okay? So let's just add the oil now. And let's just turn this up a little bit back up. Okay. Add the oil and just fry some more. I'm not cooking that much chicken, truthfully, so this might be okay. But I do like my garlic a bit, so I'm just going to add a little bit more garlic. Okay, so let's just say hello to some people. Like I say, guys, we're going to do this, and while this is cooking, we're going to make the vegan avocado smoothie quickly. And also, while the chicken's simmering, because it's going to take about, a few minutes for it to cook through, I'm going to bring Paul, my co-founder, back on screen, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of your submissions about ideas to use Malaysian coconut milk, coconut cream in your cooking. I asked for kind of like, things that are a little bit creative. We're not talking about, using coconut cream in curry and stuff like that, because everybody uses coconut cream in curry and laksa and all that, right? I wanted some like unique suggestions. So some of you sent them through. So we're going to mention those during the interval, okay? So we have Fauzia. Hey, great to see you. Fauzia was asking actually the other day about whether Malaysian coconut milk is available in Pakistan, and I don't think it is, but I have to check for you. But also Fauzia mentioned that apparently maybe we should talk with Malaysian exporters to actually bring it to Pakistan. Okay, so this is beautifully aromatic. The oil has separated. You notice that usually when you're cooking the wet spices in hot oil, it takes longer for the oil to separate, okay? But because we basically dry fried the spices, it cuts down on the amount of time for it to basically separate after you add the oil, okay? Because the oil doesn't have to work so hard to pull out all the moisture. Okay, so we're going to add the chicken, okay? Like I said, this is actually chicken leg fillets that I bought some drumsticks and I took out the bones. Okay, so we're going to fry this. And let me just get this. Okay, Fauzia and Elizabeth. How you doing, Elizabeth? Glad. Good to have you on. Nelly Box from Penang, Malaysia. Great to have you, Nelly. Nelly is from Penang, so we can't pull any stunts with her. She would know all about Kapitan chicken, because Kapitan chicken is actually a Penang dish. Yun Leong, hi Jackie, watching from Kuala Lumpur. Welcome, great to have you join us. Annie, yay, Annie from the UK. Thank you so much for tuning in. And podcast, that sizzling sound makes me hungry. Yeah. Right, it's making me hungry. I already had dinner. Okay, so this is it frying up. Okay, the turmeric is quite subtle, probably because I didn't add too much in here. Let me just throw a little bit of the turmeric galangal mixture in here. Okay. So far, if you're just joining me, this is onion, garlic, turmeric, galangal, and belacan, and a little bit of chili fried in oil with the chicken now added to it. Okay. So, and also kaffir lime leaves. Okay. Now, kaffir lime leaves, ideally fresh is best, but if you can't get fresh, you can buy it dried nowadays. And you can actually even use kaffir lime powder, right? Which you can buy online. You can find that at mybluetea.com.au. They've sent me some in the past, and I used it in the ice cream that I made the other day as well. So we've got this, and we're going to add the coconut milk, okay? Malaysian coconut milk. Like I said, you know what? Let me just turn this off quickly. If you go shopping for coconut milk, coconut cream, you're going to find that there's a wide range in terms of like the quality and the price, okay? Now, Malaysian coconut milk, right, is, in my mind, light years ahead of the others, okay? Sometimes you buy coconut milk that are $1 a can or something like this, super cheap, and then you open it up and you use it, and it's got no coconut flavor in it at all. I don't know if you come across those, right? And then, but these ones, the Malaysian coconut milk is basically premium coconut milk. And it's perfect for when you want your dish to really be that special, okay? If you grew up in Malaysia, like I did, when you moved overseas, you would have complained about how, all these different Malaysian dishes that you're making now just do not have that Malaysian, like, coconutty flavor. Why do they taste so plain, and a lot of the times because of the quality of the coconut milk. Okay, so that's something for you to consider. Okay, so we've added all the spices, and then you're going to season it. I'm going to do that now so that I don't forget later on. And as far as the seasoning, add a little bit of salt. Add a pinch of sugar. Okay, optional. I know some people are a little bit averse to adding sugar to their dishes. And if you're like me, you follow me. Hello, Chef Joe. How are you? Chef Joe, for the uninitiated, is the judge of MasterChef Malaysia, and also he's one of my Masters of Malaysian Cuisine chefs. Okay, so if you follow me long enough, I use chicken powder a lot in my cooking. Okay, so you just want a little bit, just to kind of like give body to your food, right? But again, completely optional. But you're going to find a lot of Malaysian chefs use it. Okay, it's kind of like our secret ingredient. So let me just cover this and simmer this, and we're going to talk a little bit about Kapitan chicken. Why is it called Kapitan chicken? Okay, any Penangites? Okay, who was from Penang earlier? Nelly, do you know why it's called Kapitan chicken? I think there are a few theories floating around why it's called Kapitan chicken. Kapitan is kind of like the Malay word for captain, okay? Kapitan means basically it's kind of like captain's chicken. So why is it called captain's chicken? Let's see if Nelly's got any ideas, theories to it. Now, one thing I want to point out is that in Malaysia, the same dish can mean different things to people from different ethnic backgrounds, okay? I posted this recipe years ago on YouTube, and I got someone from Penang who worked in a mamak store. For those of you who are Malaysian, you know what a mamak store is. An basically Indian Muslim establishment. He said, oh, that is the wrong mamak chicken. That is the wrong Kapitan chicken. Kapitan chicken should not taste like that. It should taste Indian, okay? So, like I said, people's experiences are different. This was taught to me by a Penang chef. Hey, Zakia, how are you? Raining in KL. Oh, it better have dried up by the time I go over there. By the way, for those who, I haven't actually announced it publicly, but our entire MOMC team are going to be in Malaysia. I'm going to be there for an entire month. Paul's going to be there. Baby Noah's going to be there. Chef Joe will be there. Zakia will be there. Anybody that you can think of is going to be in the one place in Malaysia together. Okay, so we're very excited about it. More to come. But yeah, as far as Kapitan chicken, the story is, for those of you who may not know a little bit about Malaysia, Malaysia used to be a colony, right? A British colony. And I think one of the theories is that Kapitan chicken was taught, basically was, something that a ship captain requested, and his local chef decided to whip up a very mild chicken kind of curry for him, thinking that, being a Westerner, he might not be able to handle like exotic flavors that are too intense for him. And apparently that's how it came about. That's what I heard about where it originated from. But like I said, other people might have other origin stories about Kapitan chicken, okay? And then some people will say that the cook was actually a Hainanese cook, because a lot of like colonialists used to hire Hainanese immigrants to cook for them. That's why it's more kind of like a Chinese-y thing, because Hainan is Chinese, and whereas, like I said, the Indian mamak based in Penang felt that it should be more Indian-y. So a lot of different versions going out there, and a lot of different theories about the origin of Kapitan chicken. So if anyone has their own story about it, let me know. Okay, so while this is simmering, we're going to put this aside. What we're going to do is we're going to make one of my favorite drinks, actually, is an avocado smoothie. Truth be told, I like it avocado and durian smoothie, okay, because I'm a big fan of durian. I don't know if any of you guys like durian. Say yay if you're a durian fan. I know Zakia isn't, but I won't hold that against her. Because Zakia is an amazing writer and amazing content like videographer and all that sort of stuff. But if you love durian, you're my people. Okay, so once a week I head out to Cabramatta out here in Sydney to buy durian and avocado smoothie for baby Noah and myself. Okay, we buy 2 big glasses of durian smoothie, and we drink them in the car on the drive back home from Cabramatta. I don't have any durian today, but I do have avocado, so we're going to make it, but not just that, we're going to make it vegan. Okay, now, I don't know about you, but a lot of us Asians, well, Malaysians anyway, are actually lactose intolerant, and I'm one of them, okay? So when I buy durian smoothie, I it's my guilty pleasure each week, right? If I drink too much milk, I can't handle it very well. So if I make it at home, I prefer to make it like without any fresh milk, okay? So we're going to make it with coconut milk instead. And this time, I'm going to use light coconut milk, also from Malaysia, right? And this is what I'm going to do. Now, if you have ice, perfect. I don't have room in my freezer to actually make any ice blocks, so I'm skipping the ice and I'm just using cold coconut water instead, okay? But here we go. So beautiful avocado. They're actually very, very cheap here in Australia at the moment. Usually avocados cost an arm and a leg. This is actually slightly underdone, but it's okay. We'll just whip it longer. So super, super easy. And now in Cabramatta, they would use white sugar for this, okay, which you can do. But the other thing you can use also is Malaysian palm sugar. For those of you who have tried, who have caught my sessions from last week, I was featuring recipes using Malaysian palm sugar. So if that's your vibe, you can do that. Let me just see what I've got it here. Okay, so I'm going to use Malaysian concentrated palm sugar syrup here. So just add a little bit here. And we're going to add a pinch of salt. Salt always helps to intensify the sugar, the sweetness in whatever it is you're making, okay? So I'm going to add this chilled coconut water. And I'm going to use light coconut milk, okay? And of course, if you've got ice, you know, this is where you add the ice, right? Let's just cover this and just beat this up. Okay, so there you go. Prakash, my lunch break is over. We'll have to get back to work. We'll see you again Monday. Have a great day. Oh, thank you. Hey, Moise, how you doing? How are you? Great to have you. How long has it been, Moise? I used to be quite active on Twitch, but not for a while. Okay, so this is my... Okay, a couple of small lumps in there, but that's okay. Okay, so there you go. Like I said, if you've got crushed ice in it, even better. But I don't have room in my fridge of my freezer for it. But it's going to taste delicious, and the great thing is it's vegan, it's dairy free, because people like me are actually lactose intolerant. So that's done there. Let's check on the chicken, and like I said, we're going to quickly go through. I'm going to bring Paul back on screen in a minute, and we're going to go through some of the comments and questions. I'll take a glass. Hey, come on over. We're gonna take some. We're gonna answer some questions that you guys brought up in our previous session. Look, this is cooking beautifully. Okay, you see how easy it is to do. All you need are the ingredients, and once you get the hang of the usual standard list of ingredients, onion, garlic, usually like you might want. Okay, look, if you're stocking Malaysian ingredients at home, Kapitan chicken is a richer, drier, thicker version of standard chicken curry, distinct Malaysian local spice herbs like galangal, candle nuts, lemongrass, kaffir lime leaves. There you go. Chef Joe is a genius when it comes to Malaysian cooking. For those of you who want to look up Chef Joe, just go on Instagram.com/IamChefJoe, Joe spelled J-O, and you will find him there. Maheran avocado smoothie. It is Maheran. I should make it for you guys, next time I see you. All right, guys. So let me just bring Paul back on screen while this is simmering away. We just want to answer a couple of questions that you guys brought up, and also feature some of your suggestions. Let me just change my layout quickly. That you guys wrote in when I asked about ideas to use Malaysian coconut milk. Okay, let me just front camera. Okay, here you go. So I'm here. Let me just bring Paul back on. Hey, Paul. Okay, guys, I look really dark here. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not quite I'm dark for a Chinese person. I'm not usually quite that dark. Okay. Paul, first of all, one question that someone asked the other day was, coconut milk, their Western friends are a little bit scared to use coconut milk in their cooking because they think it's unhealthy, What do you have to say as a white person?
as I speak for the entire white person population.
Paul is speaking for all white people everywhere. I'm just kidding, but Paul is very into like diet and all that sort of stuff, and nutrition and all that. So he's a good person to answer that question. What would you say to that?
Well, the first thing is what you got to do is you got to think about how people used to think about diets and stuff. And a lot of this is driven because of the standard American diet, the SAD diet, which, the name spells it out. It's a sad diet. And a lot of that diet, without much research, actually pushed this idea that fats make you fat. But they didn't go into the understanding of these different types of fats. And coconut. I want that avocado smoothie right now, but coconut milk is a saturated fat, just like avocado is. And saturated fats actually play a really important role for us in terms of regulating our hormones. And so the funny thing is, if you want to get skinny, actually eat saturated fats, And so when it comes to coconut milk, is obviously don't have tons of it, like in anything in life, you got to eat in moderation. But if you get a decent amount, like let's say you have less than a cup of coconut milk a day, you're actually giving your body a lot of nutrients to regulate your hormones. Then the second thing is that there's a thing called MCTs, which are medium chain triglycerides. But basically what those do is they signal to your body, without being all sciencey and stuff, is to use fats rather than carbohydrates in your body as an energy source. So if you've ever heard of the keto diet, that's basically how it works. Is instead of using sugars and carbohydrates as your, using glucose as a fuel source, you're using fat. What it does is it's slower, so you don't get as hungry as quickly, and it doesn't sit in the fat deposits around your body. So coconut milk in moderation is actually really healthy for you.
Okay.
And so a lot of people have the idea that it's not, because the whole idea of, oh, fats are bad, but being someone who's actually tested this out by trying all these different diets, it certainly is not the case.
Before I forget, guys, let me just quickly flash up if you're based in New Zealand and you're wondering all these ingredients, where do you buy them, right? Your best bet is to visit that website, www.e-packs.co.nz. And if you're based in Australia, I forgot how lucky we are here in Australia that we can get so many different types of Malaysian ingredients. Because every time I post these ingredients in my for my Masters of Malaysian Cuisine chefs who are based in Europe, they're like, oh, we can't get this in Europe. It's like, what? You can't get Malaysian coconut milk in Europe. But here in Australia, you can pretty much go to your local Woolworths and be able to find Malaysian coconut milk there. Okay, just make sure it says on the label, made in Malaysia, and you're good to go. But if you're really stuck and you're based in Sydney, and you want maybe some of the less well-known Malaysian ingredients, this is your best bet. Malaysian groceries in Punchbowl, just Google their address and you'll be able to find them. They have a lot of stuff that I haven't actually been able to see in some other more standard supermarkets or Asian grocery stores. Okay, so look them up. Now, Paul, the other thing I wanted to bring up as well is, let me just do a share screen. Can you can do a share screen, can't you, Paul?
Yes, go down
okay,
to share.
I want to show you, no Diana, actually, she's one of our viewers, and she sent in a couple of recipes for ways to use coconut. Okay, they're very interesting. So I'm just going to flash up her website on screen, and this is it. Let me just go share screen, and hopefully I can bring up the right Chrome tab. Okay. Can you see this? Okay, so this is Nodiana's blog. Go and look her up at sweetsharings.com. I'll flash up the website on screen in a bit. So this is what she uses coconut milk for. She makes popsicles. Okay, I've done that too on my website, by the way. So different ways to use coconut milk, coconut cream that are dairy-free. And also the other thing that she uses them for is to make rice pudding. Okay, so you can see that there. So let me just stop the sharing and flash up the screen. Here we go on her website. So have a look at sweetsharings.com. That's Diana's website, her blog. And also you can look her up on Instagram, but I saw that her Instagram account is actually set to private. So just send a join request to check out some of her food creations. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. The other thing I want to just mention, the other day I made the coconut ice cream, right? And I've made coconut ice cream in different ways before. And Michael Chong, who is also another one of our followers, he suggests a whole bunch of different ways to use coconut milk, coconut cream, right? And coconut ice cream was one of his suggestions. So I want to give him a shout out for that. And also another one of our viewers actually asked me, that was actually P.S. Ling. She asked me, because some of you were having problems watching our previous session, that you had problems commenting and whatever, right? So I missed some of your comments. And P.S. Ling was asking, because I actually use an ice cream machine to finish off the ice cream. What happens if you don't have an ice cream machine? Okay, a couple of different ideas. Now, first of all, what I used to do is actually use dry ice. Okay, now I know it's not the most accessible thing. I know you can't just walk up to your local corner store and buy dry ice, but because I used to have a food business and I used to buy dry ice from my dry ice supplier, you can actually make ice cream with dry ice. Just add the dry ice in your cream, whatever mixture, whip it up, and 10 minutes later you have a ready to serve ice cream. Okay, but Paul is someone who does not have an ice cream machine. So Paul, how would you make coconut ice cream with an ice cream machine?
I'm gonna pretend that it hasn't been like 3 years since I've made ice cream. But basically just use your freezer. But what you want to do is you take the mixture, you put it into a plastic bag, get rid of all the air, put it into the freezer, and then either you can chuck it back into your blender or stick blender or whatever and bring it back to consistency, Or I know of other people, what they do is the bag process, but then every half hour they take it out and like squish up the bag. But that's a little bit more labor intensive because you got to remember to take the bag out. So, yeah.
Cool. No, yeah. Okay, so other people who suggested ways to use coconut milk, coconut cream. I'm going to put all these in the notes that you will get in your email inbox if you sign up at malaysianchefs.com/recipes. Okay, but these are some suggestions just to rattle. If I miss anybody's, I'm really sorry. Okay, but I'm just kind of scrolling through our email inbox and it's a little bit all over the place. Okay, so Mankay suggests they say that they remember making crepe, blending young coconut meat and banana with a pinch of salt to make a batter, and then they form them into rounds and dehydrate, and then they become soft and pliable. And then they use thick coconut milk or coconut cream, whip them into a vegan cream, add a little bit of sugar, or use coconut milk, coconut water to extract the milk as a natural sweetener. So there are lots of different, like really creative, interesting ways to use coconut milk, coconut cream, right? And then we have, let me have a look. Let me just run through the list from Michael. Like I said, Michael Cheong gave us like a whole bunch of suggestions. Where is it? Coconut milk, your ideas. Okay. Okay, sorry. Now, someone actually suggested, I don't know, Paul, if you ever had like Campbell's soup in a can, Campbell's chicken and mushroom soup, no?
Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah. That used to be kind of like, when I was a teenager, I lived off that, right? But we Malaysians would use evaporated milk in it. Okay, I don't know if you guys know Campbell's soup. So you just pour a can and use evaporated milk. And of course, like I said, if you're like, if you want to go the coconut milk way, right, use coconut milk instead of that, right? And let me have a look, see what other ideas. Fauzia, I'm sure, had a lot of ideas. Okay, Fauzia uses it in coconut and China grass pudding. And she obviously uses it in a lot of her curries. And she uses it for a cooling drink with jaggery and sago pearl. And she uses it in pumpkin soup. Okay, so that's some of Fauzia's suggestions. And okay, Elizabeth Rainey. Okay. Elizabeth is talking about durian, actually. Let me have a look. Okay. People email me about all kinds of stuff. It's just great. I spend hours reading them, and then I feel bad we're not organizing like the notes properly, right? Like I said, Michael Chong gave me a ton of ideas, but let me actually compile them and put them in the notes that I'm going to send out to everyone. Okay, then you'll have like not just my 4 recipes that I've covered this week on how to use coconut milk, but you'll get a whole bunch more courtesy of the entire Masters of Malaysian Cuisine community as well. All right. Yeah, let me just say goodbye to Paul. Okay.
Bye.
And pull back up my split cam. Okay, so this is my Kapitan chicken. How long did it take to cook? Not long at all, right? Can you see it? Okay, so all of that took like about 20 minutes or so, I would say, 25 minutes, right? Including the simmering time. And like I said, it is delicious. It is spot on. And the key, because Kapitan chicken, some people, like I said, there's a lot of kind of like discussion, arguments about different, like the different history behind Kapitan chicken. Some say it's Nyonya, some say it's Hainanese, some say it's Mamak, right? I'm going to put this to a vote to our community to find out what they think it comes from, okay? But either way, because of all the fresh, how would you say it? Because of all the fresh spices that go into a Kapitan chicken curry, it seems to me to be a waste for you to use a low quality coconut milk product, okay? Which is why I think like this is this is like a prime candidate where you want to use quality coconut milk, coconut cream, okay? So look for Malaysian. Like I said, right, guys, when I first came to Australia, you couldn't, a little while before that, I don't know if you guys who are based in Sydney know Lee's Malaysian. I used to work there when I was attending university, okay? I used to work as a Lee's Malaysian staffer, and they had been in Australia since I think the early 70s. And Lee's Malaysian was famous for their laksa. And when they first started selling laksas or opening their takeaway, Lee's Malaysian takeaway, you couldn't actually buy coconut milk in Australia at all, right? Regardless what country they came from. So they invented their laksa to be served with fresh milk, okay? And because it was so popular, even like to this day, I think they still use fresh milk in their laksa, okay? Now, fresh milk provides the right kind of like, look, don't get me wrong, Lee's Malaysian laksa is famous, it's delicious, okay? And if you were to use, if you use fresh milk, it doesn't have that coconutty flavor, right? And it is the same if you use like some other types of coconut milk these days, because like I said, not all coconut milk is created equal, right? If you get Malaysian coconut milk, you will really, really notice the coconutty, like almost like as though they're freshly squeezed from fresh coconuts in Malaysia itself. So definitely something for you to consider, especially if you're cooking like dishes where you really want the coconut flavor to pop. When you're making kuehs, when you're cooking with like fresh herbs, like fresh turmeric and fresh galangal, fresh lemongrass and all that sort of stuff, right? P.S. Says your Kapitan chicken looks delicious. Thank you. That's very kind of you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I had a lot of fun. Don't forget to post your comments. You can email me if you're on my email list, or if you're not, then you're missing out, because this is where I engage with everyone directly. I read all your emails. I respond, right? Good or bad. So to sign up, you can do it at malaysianchefs.com/recipes. And by signing up, you get all my updates. You get our monthly e-magazine that contains all our recipes. And also you get all the special content like the PDFs that I'm going to issue containing the recipes for this series, and also all the additional notes like you guys' suggestions on different ways to use all these Malaysian ingredients, okay? Thanks again so much, guys. Don't forget, share this out, comment, and like it so that Facebook and YouTube can show our videos out to more people, okay? Thanks again. I'll see you next time. Ciao.